All right, so this video is going to help guide you through some of the questions on SPA review number 5. So this first one says the table shows the linear relationship between the number of hours Francis worked. So number of hours worked, that's going to be our x, and the amount of money Francis earned, which is going to be y. So it's based on the table. How much did Francis earn per hour? So remember, this is one of our variable words, per, indicating that we're going to multiply. All right, so it wants to know how much Francis earns per hour. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a proportion. So if we know that Francis earns $1.25, or excuse me, if we know that Francis works an hour and a quarter, she earns $17.50. So we can set up a proportion. So 1.25 hours is equal to $17.50. And we want to know how much she earns per hour. So we can say 1 hour right here, meaning that we're looking for a dollar amount per hour. And this is going to be as simple as cross multiplying and dividing. So if you remember the bat and ball method, multiply, cross multiply, and then divide by 1.25. All right, so that's not supposed to be there. It's -3/4. All right, so it says an inequality is shown. Which value of x makes the inequality true? So remember, the first thing you want to do is to convert these all to decimal. So remember, to convert a fraction, it's just as simple as typing it into your calculator. You should get -0.75. So we want a number that is greater than. So remember the alligator, the number that it wants to eat is largest. So this indicates that it wants to be larger than -0.75, this x, this variable, but less than 4%, which remember, for a percentage, you move 2 decimals. The same as saying 4.0, move 2 decimals over to the left, and get 0.04. And then you'll convert these. It's a matter of just typing it in on the calculator. This one's already converted to decimal. So you want a number that is greater than -0.75, but less than 0.04. So just be very careful. Remember, pay attention to your number line. So your 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, positive, and then like -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So remember, the further right that you go, the larger the number is. And the further left you go, the smaller the number is. So even though you may have a number such as -5 compared to -2, it may look like that 5 is a larger number than 2, and it is, but when they're negative, the larger the negative number is, the actually smaller it is. So make sure you pay careful attention to that concept. All right, this next one says renting video games from store S costs $2.50 per game. So this is just a matter of setting up your constants and variables. So remember your variable words: per, every, each. So if you're renting video games from store S, costs $2.50 per game. So that's going to be set up as 2.50x plus a monthly fee of $5. Okay, so plus 5. 5 is your constant. Remember, constant is the number that's by itself. Constant is a number that isn't changing, or a starting amount, initial amount. And also pay careful attention to, so it's asking for which inequality. So remember, you have your greater than and equal to symbols. So this is greater than, and then you have your less than. Oops. So when it says, so make sure you refer back to your 8th math notes. You have that those notes that tell you certain key words that tell you if it's greater than or less than, or greater than or equal to, things like that. So you got to refer back to your notes. All right, let's take a look at this next one. So these 3 students drew triangles. The side lengths of their triangles appear below. Which students drew right triangles? Okay, right triangles. All right, so remember with a right triangle, the largest number is the hypotenuse. If you remember from a right triangle, hypotenuse is the side, that's C, and it's opposite from the right angle. And then you have your 2 legs. So the largest number is always the hypotenuse. So the largest number out of the other 2 numbers is always the hypotenuse. So 6, 8, 10, 10 is the largest number, so that's going to be the hypotenuse. So what it wants you to do is it wants you to prove if it's a right angle or not. So what you're going to do is for each one, for Annette, for Edward, and Michaela, you are going to set up a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 6 squared plus 8 squared is equal to 10 squared. So they want you to prove if that's true or not. And if they're equal to each other, then it's a right triangle. But if they're not equal to each other, then it is not a right triangle. So they want you to find the ones that are right triangles. So 6 squared, 6 times 6 is 36. 8 times 8 is 64 is equal to 100. So you're going to confirm whether or not that adds up. So does 36 plus 64 equal 100? If it does, it's a right triangle. If not, then it is not a right triangle. All right, so this one says, which graph does not represent y as a function of x? So remember, y as a function of x is a fancy way to say, is it a function? And remember, a function does not have values where the x repeats. So a function is when the x values don't repeat. All right, so this is asking which graph does not represent y. So we're asked to find which one does not represent a function. Does not represent a function. So meaning that we have graphs, so we want to find out where the x values do repeat. Which graph does not represent? Oh no, excuse me. We want to find where the x values, where the x values do repeat. Sorry, where the x values do repeat. And the way to do that for a graph is use the vertical line test. Remember, whenever we come down, we draw a line anywhere. If it goes through the given line, so when I say given line, this is the given line. That's what's given to us. So if it goes through the line only once, then it's a function. So I just did this first one for you. This one is a function because it goes through the line only once. But we want to find which one is not a function. So it can't be this one. And that's all of them.